When I first became a raw vegan living in Canada, I struggled so hard. I had such a hard time staying 100% raw. I still remember the first few days of ever trying to be 100% raw. I couldn't. I would make it all day eating raw, and then around dinner time I just got these cravings and I just had to eat a big bowl of rice or buckwheat or quinoa with a bunch of tomato sauce on top. That was my thing. I loved it. And it was easy. I could do raw all day, and then right around dinner time, right around 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m., I started to get these cravings, these undeniable cravings. I just couldn't resist, and I just had to eat this big old bowl of cooked food. And it was the first time in my life that I ever experienced a food craving, knowingly. I'm sure I experienced food cravings before, but I just was never aware of them because I never actually tried to be raw. So I saw this guy had a shirt one time. It was a great t-shirt. And he said, on the t-shirt it says, "Think cooked food is not addicting? Try quitting. If you think cooked food is not addicting, try quitting." And I remember thinking, I was like, wow, it's so true. I was like, I just can't seem to quit this cooked food. And I was 19 years old at the time, and I didn't think I had a problem with food. I was lean, relatively lean, I was fit, I was healthy, so I thought, and just couldn't seem to get off the freaking cooked food. Every night it would come and bite me in the butt, and I couldn't do raw. And I tried for 2 weeks to transition to fully raw. For 2 weeks it took me before I ever did my first day fully raw. And when I finally did my first day fully raw, I'll never forget how that felt. I remember waking up the next morning, and I kid you not, I remember thinking, I'm still alive. I survived. I survived. Full 24 hours on just raw food. I felt like such an accomplishment. Wow, I did it. I finally did it. I finally went a full day on raw. I did it. I went to bed without any cooked food. First time in my life. And when I woke up, I felt so light. There was no cooked food hangover. There was nothing to recover from. There was no food to recover from. And then because I did a day, I was like, okay, I did a day, now today I'm gonna go back to eat some cooked food again. So then that next day, after I did a full day on raw, the next day I went back and I had some cooked food in the evening like I had been doing. And then bam, like a ton of bricks, for the first time in my life, I now felt the effect of cooked food had on me. Because now that I'd cleaned out my system over those 36 hours of all cooked food, and I felt what that felt like, which was amazing. There was nothing to recover from. When I went back to eating cooked food the next day, boom, I experienced the contrast. I experienced the heaviness of the cooked food. I experienced the sedative effect of cooked food. I experienced the hangover effect of cooked food the next day. And I had never consciously experienced this before. I had never consciously been aware of these issues with cooked food before, because I was just eating them my entire life. And it's kind of like being a smoker your entire life. If you smoke your entire life, you simply don't know what it feels like to only breathing clean air for a day. It's like having a really messy house. If your house is always messy, you simply don't know what it's like to have a clean house. And vice versa, if you always have a clean house, you're very sensitive to when things get dirty. And so by doing fully raw for a day, it was akin to cleaning my entire house. By being raw for a day, it was like cleaning my entire house for a day. And the next day, got it messy again. When I got it messy, that's when I realized, I'm like, damn, like now I feel the effect of cooked food, which there was an effect before. And so I was like, hey, well, now I really want to go raw because I want those benefits I experienced yesterday. I want to feel like that every day. And over time, I got good at knowing how to go a full day raw. And the way I got good at it was just paying attention to, hey, on the days that I have cravings, what is it about that day that's making me have this craving? How come some days I have cravings, sometimes I don't? And what I found, this is huge, I want to take notes on this. What I found was that on the days I had cravings, those were the days I was under eating. I wasn't getting enough calories from fruit. And on the days I had no cravings, those were the days when I ate good amount of calories from fruit. I don't know exactly how many, but let's say my daily calorie requirements at the time were 2,500 calories a day. On the days I didn't have cravings, I was eating 2,500 calories of fruit. And on the days I did have cravings, I was only eating like 1,000 calories of fruit. So your body human body, it needs enough calories. And it doesn't matter where the frick those calories are coming from in terms of shutting off that hunger signal. If you're getting 1,000 calories from favorite foods, but it's only 1,000 calories, you're still gonna be hungry. If you're getting 1,000 calories from fruit, even though they're super healthy, you're still gonna be hungry because it's only 1,000 calories. So the secret is getting enough calories. And if you need 2,500 calories a day, you're craving cooked food, it's because you're not eating 2,500 calories of fruit. And what I found was it's actually very difficult to eat enough calories from fruit when you're just starting out. The reason that is because fruit is so high volume. It's such a high volume food. Compare a big watermelon to a bowl of rice. Well, if you want 1,000 calories of rice, 1,000 calories of rice can fit in this bowl here. To fit 1,000 calories of watermelon in, you need this bowl. You know, like your body needs to be able to accommodate so much more volume in order to get enough calories on fruit, which is why it's so easy to lose weight on a fruit diet. Which is why I became super thin when I first went to a fruit diet. I was just filling up my body with so much volume, but the calories were so low. So I started to practice eating fully raw more often, but every now and then I wouldn't eat enough. I was having a hard time with it. Eating all this juicy fruit that's making me feel great, but I wasn't getting enough calories. Then what I found was that if I could just get my calories in dense foods, that would mimic like the size of the food of it would mimic the portion sizes of cooked food closer. So now I could say, okay, well, 1,000 calories of rice, let's say, fits in this bowl. So does 1,000 calories of dates. Also, so does 1,000 calories of avocado. Then I started getting my calories from these denser foods like dates, bananas, avocados, the dense, calorie-dense raw foods. I started eating a diet comprised of dense raw foods instead of watermelon and oranges. That's when I started to consistently be successful with staying 100% raw. So, secret in staying raw, for me, a big part of it, one big piece of it, was getting in the calorie density, getting in enough calories from dense foods like avocados, dates, and bananas. Yeah, sure, I also had melons, and sure, I also had citrus, and I had greens, and I had persimmons, and peaches, and plums, nectarines, and cherries. But the bulk staple foods were the dates, bananas, and avocados. Still to this day, in my house, you will always find dates, bananas, and avocados. These are still, to this day, 11 years later, staple foods on diet. Not on my diet, but on the raw side of my diet. Cooked side of my diet, now that I have some cooked food, my cooked staples are like quinoa, buckwheat, and some rice, and cabbage, broccoli, and things like this. But in terms of raw food calories, it still comes from dates, bananas, and avocados. The easiest to fill up on. It's so easy to fill up on, and they're always available. They're always good. Good price too. They're not overly expensive. That's one way that I was able to stay raw for so many years, is because I got in enough calories. I ate enough. Biggest reason I see people quitting a raw food diet or failing a raw food diet is because they simply don't eat enough. Don't. And it's not because they don't want to, it's just because they have such a hard time with it because of the volume situation. Stomach can't capacitate? Oh, the word there. Doesn't have the capacity to accommodate, that's the word, accommodate all of that raw food. So, struggling to eat enough on a raw food diet. Have smoothies. Blend up bananas, dates in a smoothie form and just drink it back. So much easier. In the evening time, when it comes time to have your salad, if you're having a salad, load up on the avocados. A couple avocados in the evening. Boom. Be able to hit your calories for the day and be able to stay raw a lot easier. The second thing that I noticed tripping up, even tripped me up when I was first getting started with raw food, was associations with cooked food. Associations with raw food. I mean, most people, myself included, have these like warm and fuzzy associations with certain cooked food. Like, for example, for me, like oats, instant oats. My grandpa used to make me instant oats. When I was a little kid, he'd feed me like these big bowls of instant oats with like brown sugar and milk, and it was always such a nice big meal with my grandpa, eating these big bowl of oats. To this day, I still associate eating oats with my grandpa. People like Italians, maybe, they have this association with pizza, with family reunions, or spaghetti with family reunions, or muffins with their mom's, home-baked muffins, whatever. People have associations with cooked food that makes them want to eat that food. Because they've been eating cooked food their whole life, they have so many of these associations with fuzzy feelings tied to them. It's hard to want to quit those foods or never eat those foods ever again. It's like a very scary thought. And in addition to having these associations with cooked food, which make them want to eat them more, they also have they also don't have associations with raw food. Only now that I've been raw for so many years do I have really good associations with certain fruits like persimmons and mangoes and papaya. Like, I associate these foods so highly with pleasure. But raw, I didn't have those associations, so there wasn't as much of a draw for me to want to eat those foods or to stay raw, because I don't really associate them with being pleasurable. I found I had to do consciously, I learned this from my friend Mike, is to consciously create negative associations with food. Consciously create these negative associations with cooked food, so that whenever I thought of cooked food, I thought of disgust. I thought of ugh. A great book that helped me do it is called Nature's First Law, I believe. At the bottom of every chapter, all about the benefits of raw food, but at the bottom of every chapter it said cooked food is poison. Reading that book, I was like, fuck cooked food, man. I'm not eating that. It's poison. I said the association with cooked food as being poisonous. I started associating raw food with being like the best food on the planet, which to this day I had that association. Raw food is the best, fruit is the best, fruit is human food. I still have that association. By creating these associations, both negative and positive, negative for cooked food and positive for raw food, able to stay raw so much easier. Days when my calories were low, built up these associations with raw food, so pleasurable, and negative associations with cooked food being so bad, I was able to stay raw even though my calories were low on certain days. That's it for this video. That's all I wanted to say. The reason I was able to stay raw is I was able to get enough calories in, and I was able to create those associations. Associations with raw food, negative associations with cooked food. Hope this video was helpful. If you want to stay raw, try these 2 tips out. Peace out. Bye for now.